The University of KwaZulu-Natal has a rich and proud history of agricultural endeavour. Centred on the grounds of the campus in Pietermaritzburg, AgFac, as it is often fondly called, has had a significant influence on this continent for over 60 years. From pigs, poultry, pawpaws and pecans through to farm finance, fuel, food security and veld fires. From its very first graduates in 1952, AgFac alumni have been found in all spheres of agricultural influence. Many successful farmers, leaders in professional life, captains of business, 1 or 2 politicians, employees in the departments of agriculture, and decision makers in prominent research agencies are made up of those who spent their formative undergraduate and postgraduate years at the lush surrounds of the Carbis Road campus.
Well, the Friends of UKZN Alumni is a project that has a long-term vision of getting together the people who have a past relationship with the University of KwaZulu-Natal and those who are currently at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, so that we can work together to identify key issues that need improvement at the university in terms of the quality of education that we offer, but more importantly, for us to work together to respond to the needs of both the university as well as the alumni, particularly in the industry.
Today, UKZN School of Agriculture, Earth and Environmental Sciences is one of 5 schools housed within the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science. The school employs 80 full-time academic staff, many of whom are productive and internationally recognized researchers and gifted teachers, and 66 administrative and technical support staff. Currently, 1,313 undergraduate and 435 postgraduate students are registered. In 2012, the school conferred 362 degrees and diplomas, including 25 PhD and 40 MSc degrees, sending a new batch of highly trained and employable graduates out into the marketplace.
I generally was running around doing active things. I played sport. I played hockey, squash, tennis and table tennis for the university. So there wasn't much time. And I was on the SRC and the Science Student Council. So I was pretty much a nerd who ran around and did official things. But I can tell you there was one thing that the Professor Reichenberg taught us how to do. And that was to make paper darts. And we used to put them in tubes and then blow them down corridors and shoot people in the back. And there's a lecture theatre where students sit with the windows open, and I saw Prof. Reichenberg blow a dart from plant pathology across an open rectangle into the guy's ear. And then we all ducked.
I write on my board that I am away at the horses. It's part of my job description, you know. We had so much fun. I was an animal science undergrad, and even from the first time that we had to come to the university, we had big braais and things out with Harvey Dix and Professor Rob Close out at the Ag Eng faculty. And that was a huge big barn. I remember the agric balls in those days as well. And it was a hell of a lot of fun, but particularly as an animal science graduate, we spent a lot of time at the UKZN Research Farm. And we always had steers that had to go along to the Royal Agricultural Show, and we had to show them there. Obviously, the animal husbandry and the animal science part of that was an essential component, you know, practical skills dealing with the steers. But the more practical skills were people like Neil Dominy and Stuart Ferrer, who these days are very, very upright agricultural economists, etc., and work at, you know, analytical laboratories. But in those days it was very, it was fun to pay homage to beer cans at the boys' digs there, which was called the Bullpen. And there was a lot of extramural activity that we enjoyed apart from our animal science expeditions with the steers. So no, we've had a lot of, I just really enjoyed my undergrad degree, and we spent, as an animal scientist, I think it's really important that you actually engage with the animals and have a sense of what they need to do in a day and what their needs are, and it's all very fun and well learning the science about optimal nutrient provision, etc. But I really think that even today that the graduates need to have a sense of what the animals themselves need, and that's always been the most fun part of my learning experience.
it was left to the third principal of the university, Ernest Malherbe, to champion the cause and persuade the Smuts government in 1946 to approve the idea of an agricultural faculty in Pietermaritzburg. Malherbe was instrumental in ensuring that the right candidate was chosen to lead the new faculty, Robbie Saunders, a distinguished plant geneticist. When the Faculty of Agriculture was formally recognized on the 15th of March 1949, with Saunders as the first Dean of Agriculture, there were 92 students registered for agricultural studies and staff in all 12 agricultural departments. The first master's candidate graduated in 1952, and in 1958 the PhD degree was conferred for the first time on two students, Hector Mulinet and Peter Allen.
I'm in subtropical fruit production. In fact, I've worked mainly with pawpaws, low-chilled deciduous fruits, peaches, kiwi fruit, nuts, pecan nuts, macadamia nuts, and the thing is there's no fruit industry in Natal, and so at that time, and we were trying to introduce new crops to the area, and so it's a really steep learning curve to find out what we'd do here, how to modify the environment to grow the fruits successfully. And we were very keen to get involved in the science of agriculture.
In 1950, a 500-acre farm was purchased outside Pietermaritzburg and aptly named Ugolenga, which means to test or to endeavour in Zulu. From its inception, Ugolenga was the site of unique and groundbreaking research in several agricultural disciplines.
But since my time at the varsity, studying some of the ag fac, I think as the picture of the varsity on the outside seems to have changed, but in fact the core of the varsity and the inside has remained exact the same. You know, you walk through the corridors, you see the students, you see the output of the varsity is still extremely strong.
I'm Craig McKenzie. I graduated with agricultural economics in 1993, and I started Debonair's Pizza in 1991, and it's a miracle to this day that I got my degree, but I proudly do have it. We certainly had an amazing lifestyle. It was largely a digs lifestyle, although most people would opt to be in res for the first year, and that was when friendships were cemented and digs groupings generally happened. I think that because I graduated prior to South Africa being a democracy, that there were and have to have been differences. But I believe that today, specifically the previously disadvantaged students, have a massive opportunity within the agricultural environment. And the reason I say that is because food is increasingly becoming a scarcer commodity internationally, and beyond that, the opportunities for previously disadvantaged candidates are significant, because historically there isn't a base of people that are educated in agriculture, and there's clearly a massive need and desire for people with the qualifications to become involved in an industry that has huge potential going forward.
From 1954 to the present day, the grand and somewhat stately Robbie Saunders building has served as the welcoming home of UKZN agriculture. 1987 was a significant year in the history of agriculture at the University of Natal, as it witnessed the first legal intake of black students at a so-called white university. Some 23 first years, 7 senior undergraduates and 3 postgraduate students enrolled.
Well, I believe my rise in the department started when I was a student. I was one of the less than 1% of the black students when the university started accepting black students in the University of Natal at the time. I was very inspired by the lecturers and the academic standard at the time, and as a result of that, my performance had to match the quality of the best university in Africa. And I succeeded to be among the very successful students as an undergraduate, postgraduate, and I was a very successful researcher. I've got a very good record of being a good researcher, recognized nationally. And now I'm a leader of the school that was led by people that I respected a lot.
My name is Tafadz Gomabaudi. I'm a third-year PhD student. I'm working on water use of underutilized traditional and indigenous plants with a focus on those crops that are common in South Africa. My supervisor is Professor Albert Modi. We've been working together for 5 years now, and we always nickname him Prof Ubuntu because he's got a very strong spirit of Ubuntu. So his keenness in my work goes beyond just what I'm doing in the lab and in the field. He's always more keen to find out about my social life, how things are working out in my life. And he always says that his interest is not just in creating or making a scientist per se, but in helping develop an individual, a well-rounded individual who can go into society and contribute not just from a scientific point of view, but also from a character point of view.
In my student days, my biggest vision was about making change. I envisaged myself more as a technical advisor, being out in the yellow buggy working for government and advising people on how to grow their vegetables and how to go about with their subsistence farming. We are facing serious infestations of wasps that are affecting commercial plantations in KwaZulu-Natal to be particular, and our small-scale timber farmers are battling to cope with that. But fortunately now, with the access to research like we have linked to the University of KwaZulu-Natal at ICFR, they are able to get a better genetic material. But the mindset change and the understanding of those changes and the reality of the global trends and the movements of this pest and disease are still mind-boggling for most of the small farmers to try and understand.
While student demographics at UKZN have broadened significantly in keeping with the new South Africa, the agricultural students of today remain constant in their youthful enthusiasm, their ability to have fun, and the desire to work hard and secure a first-class education for themselves, one that equips them with the necessary skills for productive employment.
You know, we're very proud of our students that have come out of this department, and we'd like to keep up with that, you know, to try and produce students that add value to society.
With agriculture, you've got to love the lifestyle. You can't enter it just for a business. You've got to know that you love what you do. You love, if it's livestock, if it's crops. You love being isolated. You love the land, the farm. You've got to be willing to work with people. Some businesses you can do management very corporately. Orders are passed, it's all done. Agriculture, as the owner or the manager, you access people on every level.
Reflecting on the past grants us an opportunity to celebrate our achievements, encourages us to pause and take stock of where we are now, and inspires us to refine our vision for the future of agriculture at UKZN.
We often talk about our lecturers today when we get together, in fact, and they're, as I think most students do when they get together, good stories, and yeah, just the great time that was had on the academic side. But I think more importantly for me, it was the contacts made and just the friendships that were formed during those times. And from a university perspective, that has really stood me in great stead in my life and in my career, because there are always contacts that you can call on and people that you know in many spheres in the business world. So that for me, I think, was the most important part, just those steadfast friendships and the fun that was had on the campus. I played sport as well at varsity. I played hockey, went on to play Midlands hockey at varsity, and again, that was great interaction and really super times from that perspective. So for me, in a nutshell, yeah, I couldn't have chosen any better than the University of Natal.
The University of KwaZulu-Natal Agriculture has given us the opportunity to work in a field that I think dietitians probably didn't work in before. Firstly, access to the research facilities to be able to grow crops and to breed crops using the facilities that are available.
Well, I think from an alumni perspective, you always look at successful models, and without comparing to others, the Stellenbosch University alumni have a really successful model, and the success really of that university is based on their alumni program. UKZN is in the process of developing that, and I think that's fundamentally important. several forms. Number one, from a business connection perspective, we preparing and educating, and when I say we, I mean the University of KwaZulu-Natal, preparing and educating students to go out into the world to adapt and to be able to take on the business world. And if they can at any stage, you know, reap the rewards and sort of step on the contacts of previous alumni, I think that's fundamentally important. So the database building process around that is key. The other important thing is the funding process that can come through this. You know, there are many successful alumni that look back to their university days and cherish those. And as with past pupils of top schools, the ability to set up this alumni program, which can then contribute financially to ensuring that obviously disadvantaged students or people that can't be in a position to share the education that we've had at a varsity establishment like this certainly get the opportunity. And beyond that, also looking at the facilities and maintaining that the top doctors, the top professors and the top graduates remain here and continue to pass on that education to future generations. And to me, that's the most important part of an alumni program, and it's fundamentally key.
UKZN School of Agriculture, Earth and Environmental Sciences is proud of its continuing contribution to the university, the country and the region. Going into the future, the school boasts some of the best teaching and research facilities on the continent. It offers a diverse suite of under- and postgraduate training and research, contributing significantly to the training of our future agricultural experts and researchers. All the disciplines of agriculture are alive and well and far from their dotage. All are ready to tackle the future. With your support, in whatever form, they will be better equipped to do so.
Well, UKZN has been amazing. It's filled with great people and lots of support and lots of sport, which has been great fun. And I'm so excited to finish my degree. It's been wonderful.
This was a gifted interview because you guys don't really know what was inside this tea. And it's big with horses on it.
In agriculture, my studies have been crap, I don't know.
And then we all ducked. So it's not all serious stuff.
What makes agriculture at UKZN special is that we still can see the contribution that has been made by our alumni. People who produced the best varieties of pawpaws, avocados, people who, when they left the university, started industries that are not directly linked to agriculture in agricultural economics. Some of them are the best referees. They are the products of this university. People who were groomed by this university academically and otherwise are still around and making a contribution to the development of South Africa. And this is, as I said before, the best school to come and study, have fun, but also be sure that when you leave, you're gonna be making a contribution to the industry that is relevant.